Hey, want to hear some fucked up shit? Alexa, who will win the next American election?
The 2024 American election will not take place. There will be no winner. War Powers Resolution of 1973 or the War Powers Act will be invoked by the act of war with Russia and China. Once an invoked, the standing party will retain and remain in power.
The predictions made by The Simpsons for 2024 are remarkably unsettling. In an episode dating back to 1998, the show subtly foreshadowed an economic crisis, nuclear conflict, and the demise of a U.S. leader, all slated to occur in the same fateful year. This particular episode, titled Bart to the Future, offers a glimpse into the coming years where Lisa Simpson ascends to the presidency. During a conversation with her team, Lisa alludes to the challenges left behind by the previous administration under President Biden, leaving a financial strain and considerable turmoil in their wake. Subsequently, a news report within the episode highlights a nuclear clash involving an unnamed nation, triggering widespread devastation and pandemonium. While the notions of nuclear warfare and economic upheaval are undeniably disconcerting, we can only hold on to the hope that these predictions from The Simpsons remain firmly within the realm of fiction.
The man who predicted 2020. If there ever was a time traveler, it'd be this man right here, Nostradamus. In the 1500s, he published a book that had a lot of his predictions in it, and a lot of his predictions have been accurate. For example, he not only predicted Adolf Hitler, but also 9/11, but those are just two of his predictions that came true. Let's talk about 2020. In one of his writings, he wrote that there would be a twin year, which 2020 is a twin year, in which will arise a queen, which is Corona, who will come from the east, which is China, and will spread a plague or virus in the darkness of night. And the virus will affect a country with 7 hills. And Italy has 7 hills, and it's been hit really hard from the coronavirus. He also talks about Donald Trump getting re-elected. Follow and like for part 2.
Comes from the myth of Osiris, the story of Osiris's evil brother Set murders him and chops him into 14 pieces and throws all the pieces into the Nile. And a sister wife, the queen of magical skills, Isis, she goes up and down the banks of the Nile River, collects 13 of the pieces of Osiris, can't find the 14th piece, which is his missing male organ. But she assembles his body back together, just like we had 13 continents in this country that were assembled together to form one union. And she creates an obelisk, which then becomes magically representative of his male organ. Now you come to the United States. You have a dome. When the founders were building this country, they actually first called it Rome. They were designing it, if you will, after that same ancient pattern from both Egypt and the Vatican. And you look at Washington, the dome, and this giant obelisk known as the Washington Monument, the largest of its kind in the world, built by Freemasons in honor of George Washington. It's 6,666 inches high. It's 666 inches wide along each of the perimeters. It's based on a magic square. They actually conduct that ancient Egyptian ceremony in Washington, D.C. at the inauguration of every U.S. president, who's standing over there in the dome of Isis, the Temple Dome, the U.S. Capitol Dome. Anybody can take a tour, walk inside, and look up into her underside belly. What do you see? The apotheosis of George Washington becoming a god, because they're looking forward to the day when that god is actually going to return and enthrone himself as the leader of this country. They believed that this was a prophecy about the coming of the god of Freemasonry, and on his arrival, the United States would rise up and become the global leader of the new world order. They believed in those prophecies, the prophecy about the coming of who we would call the Antichrist, because, as you know, Apollo, which is prophesied to come on the Great Seal, is the same spirit identified in the New Testament as the spirit that will fill the Antichrist, the man of sin.
Wow.
Predicted 2020 Part 2. If you came from Part 1, I'm pretty sure you'd be convinced that this man right here, Nostradamus, is a time traveler. It's scary accurate on how many things he's actually got right for 2020. But as crazy as it already is, there's some other predictions that he predicted back in 1955. One of his crazy predictions literally says the false trumpet concealing madness will cause Byzantium to change its laws. Many people believe that when he says trumpet, he's talking about President Trump, and that this means that he's going to get re-elected here in 2020. Even though Biden's won so far, apparently it's not over because there's still some lawsuits going on. Nostradamus also predicts that we will have a World War III in 2020, so I really hope he's not right.
Now listen up. We got an election to run under the strict supervision of heavily medicated octogenarians.
I'm gonna need to see 3 forms of ID, 12 if you're a Democrat.
Homer, get down here. Your vote for president has never been more important.
That's today.
You'll get down here this minute if you care about the 3 things you love most. You slept all day? You didn't vote?
Hey, how bad could it be?
You owe me a new pair of glasses. Oh, that's what I get for voting for Kanye.
Uh-oh.
A global event will alter the course of mankind's future. The world will stand witness to a massive alien invasion. Thousands of projected holographic alien warships will blanket the skies, sending people into a global panic. Real military crafts within the holograms will inflict actual damage to the surrounding areas to sell the gimmick. And as a result of the ensuing human chaos, a one-world government will immediately form without any resistance from the people. They will be the new world order. Once this happens, we as a people will be doomed to enslavement and accelerated depopulation. With that said, the only hope for human salvation is to acquire and spread the knowledge of these activities and agendas. Resist, retaliate, then conquer this opposing enemy. The time is now, as humanity is rapidly approaching
What y'all think?
its final days.
Okay, I know I already posted today, but I got some questions in my comments and I want to address them. So someone came into my comments saying that very few conspiracy theories have actually come true, and they were asking for examples. The fact that so many conspiracy theories have been proven true and the people are still refusing to believe it is absolutely mind-blowing to me. For example, let's talk about Hunter Biden's laptop and the fact that in 2020, everybody was insisting that it was fake. The media, the government, literally everybody. And then fast forward 2 years later, and they're finally admitting that it was real and that they were paid to cover it up. And then there was the Russian collusion hoax, where Democrats were spewing all of this nonsense about Russia interfering with the 2016 election, and then it was proven just this past year that that was a lie. And then do you guys remember when us conspiracy theorists said a few years back that they're going to try to do COVID vaccine mandates and that they were going to require proof of vaccination in order to gain entry into certain events? That was later proven that it was true because they did do that. And then there's the fact that we said a few years ago that they were going to try and push digital banking, and guess what? They are doing that currently. It is in the making. FedNow actually just released today. We also said that Biden had financial ties to China and Ukraine, and they swore up and down that they didn't, and now we have receipts that prove that Joe Biden got a 10% cut of Hunter Biden's business dealings. And we said last year that they're going to try and push climate change lockdowns, and guess what they're doing? They're trying to push climate change lockdowns, and we were called crazy. And here's a few other things. We also said that big tech was censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story before the elections because they knew that it would cause damage to his campaign. And they also said that they didn't do that. And then it was later confirmed by the FBI that they were paid to censor any type of Hunter Biden laptop story. Not only that, but we also said that the January 6th footage was doctored, and they also said that it wasn't, and now it just came out a few weeks ago that people are under investigation for doctoring the January 6th footage. And for years, the people that you would call conspiracy theorists have said the CIA killed JFK, and then they admitted that they killed JFK. And we also said that big tech colluded with the FBI to censor political opposition, and they also said that that wasn't true, and now we have receipts that prove that it was true and that they were told and paid to censor any type of political opposition. I mean, how many more conspiracy theories have to come true before you guys realize that they're not theories, it's actually happening, and we need to stop labeling people who are free thinkers as conspiracy theorists. All right, my fellow patriots, stay vigilant and have a blessed day.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1000% believe in?
That the New World Order is already in effect, and anyone unvaccinated will probably die. If it were to play out as predicted, the world will be under a one world government, one world currency, one world religion, and population control. They're attacking religion right now with aliens. One world currency, I wonder what crypto will turn into. And population control. And right now, the unvaccinated are free thinkers. That's exactly what they don't want in their society. It's one of those, you're damned if you do take the jab, and you're damned if you don't take the jab. The government keeps circling back around, which is Joe Biden's motto. Nobody's coming out with just a straight answer. Biden says he wants to unify the country, but he's calling Trump supporters Nazis. The government doesn't even know what the vaccine's about, but they do know what they're doing. I know the unvaccinated want freedom, but will they be alive to fight for it?
Back in 2005, was Joe Biden telling America something?
Our constitutional journey did not stop then, and it must not stop now, Judge. And we'll be faced with equally consequential decisions in the 21st century. Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over. Can brain scans be used to determine whether a person is inclined toward criminality or violent behavior? You will rule on that. And Judge, I need to know whether you will be a justice who believes that the constitutional journey must continue to speak to these consequential decisions, or that we've gone far enough in protecting against government intrusion into our autonomy, into the most personal decisions we make. Judge, that's why this is a critical moment.
The year is 2024, and your electrical car won't start for 72 hours because what you posted on social media has been deemed offensive by the government. Think this sounds too far-fetched, or it's not going to happen? Do you think the powers that be are not trying to mimic China's social credit score system? Wake up and observe the Orwellian changes around us. The ultimate goal of the ruling class is to control the masses. You hooked up to a social credit score tied to a V-passport, tied to your digital wallet, where if you get out of line, they turn your purchasing power off just like that. You can't participate in society. Stand your ground. Stay vigilant. Do not comply, or else we're all fucked.
So I decided to watch the Book of Eli for the first time. And then I seen this picture that said 2024. What could it mean? This is what you get when someone besides NASA or FakeX sends something up in the sky. You don't live on a bowl in a vacuum. Wake up.
Roseanne Barr, did you see what she said today? She said she doesn't see a 2024 election even happening in the United States.
I don't think we're going to have no election.
You want to bet money?
I'll bet.
How much?
I'll bet big. I don't think we're going to have no election.
$1,000.
All right.
Shake hands.
I do not want to hear that.
I mean, it's possible because if Russia does technically declare war or we declare war, then he can stay in.
Right, he could declare martial law, or you could literally go into the War Powers Act, which then takes him out of the occasion, and then you have an entire emergency set up right now.
You heard the conspiracy theory that Australia's fake? Dude. The biggest piece of evidence there is, have you ever seen an Australian child? I didn't think so. Dog. Never.
Like a kid talking like, hey.
Right, never. Never seen that.
Ever seen an Australian child?
I've never seen one.
Wait, we might be going on tour over there.
Well, you can let me know where you actually go, because
So
apparently
what's-
it's not Australia.
Вижу твой взгляд, степ на гаяк, мог тебя взять, но ты не моя.